There needs to be an on air sign. Hi everyone, welcome to my kitchen, welcome to Friday Night Curry Club. I hope everybody's well. Welcome to my kitchen, I've said that already. I hope you're all good. I hope everyone's had a lovely week and I hope you're all raring to go. I know that some of you are already prepping and you've got some bits and pieces that you've been doing today, so thank you for sending me all your pictures of your chicken that's marinating and all of that fun stuff. Before we get started, obviously, as always, I'm going to take a few minutes just to say hello, give you guys an opportunity to just settle down and settle in. But please, as always, say hello, give me a little shout out, let me know where you're tuning in from, let me know if you are going to be cooking with me, let me know if you're just watching. But get those hellos coming in now so that we can start saying a few hellos and just get some stories from you guys and see what you're up to. It's been a long week this week. It feels like it's been just sort of dragging on a little bit, but I suppose we're all in that same situation. We're all feeling a little bit like that. But the sun's been amazing. We've had a beautiful week, so it's been all good fun. I've been busy in the kitchen. I've been doing a few bits and pieces, getting some new recipe ideas and things like that going. So hopefully there'll be some new recipes on the website coming up very soon. So have we got any hellos coming in?
We have B is here from Dominican Republic.
Hi B from Dominican Republic, lovely to have you join us.
Pablo is here from Spain, it's his first time.
Hello Pablo from Spain, I'm sure you're on the app, are you not? Maybe you are, I don't know. Those of you who are not on the app, make sure you download the app and join in the community there.
We've got Steve Wilcox.
Hi Steve, how you doing? I know you're definitely on the app and thank you for your pictures from last week. They were lovely. I love seeing the pictures that you guys send afterwards after you've done the cooking and then you're just settling down to enjoy your meal. It's lovely to see all the beautiful dishes that come through. So who else have we got?
Lois is here again from Australia.
Hello Lois from Australia, you're back with us, it's lovely to have you. I hope you're well, I hope you're not too tired, but thank you for joining again. I'd love to know if you actually cook any of the dishes or if you just watch, but I'd love to know if you do cook them. If you do cook them, please send me pictures, download my app, send some pictures to me because I'd love to see your dishes.
We've got Christian from Bulgaria.
Hello Christian from Bulgaria, welcome, I hope you're well. Are you cooking? Are you just watching today? Let me know.
Sue is here, she's just watching.
Hi Sue, I hope the thumb is better. I know you had a bit of a mishap last week, I hope it's better. Have you got anyone cooking for you today? Because obviously I know that you're going to get hungry later.
Andrew's asking if you've got any Prosecco.
Hi Andrew, I have got some Prosecco. It's okay. It's lovely that you worry about me. Thank you for worrying about me. Yes, I have some Prosecco. Cheers, everybody. If you're all joining in, happy Friday. I hope you've got a little tipple of something that's going to see you through. Okay.
Tracy Ross.
Hello, Tracy. All the way from the US. Have we got anyone else from the US? We usually have quite a large US contingent. So please, if you are in the US, say hello. Let me know that you're watching. We had someone from Hawaii last week, so if there's anyone from far afield, please do give me a shout out. Okay, so today we are cooking a very classic chicken korma. It's for many, many years in the UK, it was the favourite UK takeaway dish. I think that's been overtaken now by the tikka masala, but the korma is still a very popular dish in the UK, and I know it is in other countries as well. It's always been known as one of those dishes that people who don't really like curry will have a korma because it's quite mild and it's a bit heavy and it's quite sweet and it's got that sort of air about it. I actually quite like a korma. I like the flavour of it. I like that sweetness, but I like mine with a little bit of a kick. So I will be adding extra chilies in mine because I like that sort of coconutty, almondy, creamy flavour. but I also like a bit of heat, so I am going to be adding chilies in. And there are no rules, so I say this all the time, there are no rules. When people say, oh, I want to have a korma, it doesn't mean that they might just like the flavour. It's not just because it's that light creamy flavour, you know, that sweetness. You can make a korma as spicy as you like, but still have those flavours of the korma running through. So that's what we're going to do today. It's, again, a two-stage sort of process. Before I carry on, actually, one thing I am going to do, just because whilst the dish is cooking through, I am going to show you a very, very quick side dish with some runner beans. I know I haven't said that, but I just thought it'll just fill a little bit of time whilst the chicken's bubbling away, but I'm going to show you how to do a very quick side dish. If you want to do this side dish with me and you don't have any runner beans, if you've got a potato, if you've got some potatoes, you can do exactly the same as what I'm going to do with a potato, and so just grab a potato, peel it and just have it set to one side, but we can talk about that later. Okay.
Say hello to Kasoori and Paulette from the US.
Hello, Paulette from the US and Kasoori. Sorry if I've got that wrong. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
We've got Millicent is cooking in Kenya.
Hello, Millicent, cooking in Kenya. I love it. Brilliant. I want to see pictures. Please, please take some pictures and share them with me later.
And we have Dax from Roma in Italia.
Hello, Dax from Italy. Lovely to have you join us. Thank you. Thank you for all the comments that come in after all of these lives as well. It's really lovely to read, and I do try to get back to everybody as soon as I can. Sometimes it takes me a few days, but I will always get back to you. Okay, so just getting back to the cooking then.
Neil has asked.
Oh, hang on. We have a question before I start.
Neil said he made a paste last week. Can he use that as a base? And when or how should he use it?
I don't. So the question is, Neil's made a paste that he made last week. It's quite difficult for me to say when and how you can use it because I don't know what you mean by paste. So if you want to elaborate a little bit, I can try and help you. The difference with a lot of the dishes that I cook is I always start each dish from scratch because they are all very, very different. So I'll take you through the process of this particular dish. We talked a little bit about sauces and that kind of thing last week. So let's start with this first of all. So it's a two-stage process. We've got to marinate the chicken first of all, and it's a lovely creamy marinade. And then we are going to make the korma sauce, and then we will put the two together. So I know a lot of you have already marinated your chicken and you've sat there and you've got it all doing all the lovely things that it should be doing. But rather than doing it before and after, I just thought I'd do it live with you now. So, first things first.
Can you say hello to F2 Kitchens who are from India?
Hello, F2 Kitchens from India. Lovely to have you join us. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's wonderful to have you with me. Okay, so the marinade is, first of all, yogurt based. So I've got some yogurt here. It's just a really nice thick Greek yogurt. I'll talk you through all of these ingredients as we go through. So I've also got some garlic, I've got some ginger, I've got some black pepper, and I've got some coriander seeds. And I've also got some gram flour, and that's all for the marinade with a little bit of salt. And that's just going to sit, and I'm going to give that a bash. Before I do that, the other ingredient that I've got here is this lovely saffron. Can you see? Sorry. Can you see now? There we go. So we've got some saffron. All I'm going to do with the saffron is I'm going to pour a little bit of milk into it. Not too much, but just a little bit. And what that does is it starts to steep the colour out. So can you see the colour coming through without me spilling it? Yeah, can you see that yellowy colour coming through? So that's all we want. So that's the first job. So we're just going to do that. I'm just going to set that to one side and just leave that there. Next thing, my pestle and mortar, my favourite thing in the whole world. Into here, I am going to put some coriander seeds, and I'm going to put some black pepper. Now, in the recipe, I think I say 3 or 4 black peppercorns. Now, one of the things that I said is that I want to have a little bit more of a kick here, a little bit more of a spice. So I'm going to use a few more black peppercorns than I said in the recipe, and that's going to give a heat and a bit of a kick. So we'll pop those in first. So put those into your pestle and mortar.
Can you use green and red chilies?
Green and red chilies. The question is, can you use green and red chilies? You can use green and red chilies. Not at this stage, but yeah, later on, I'm also going to be adding some green chilies as well. So in your pestle and mortar, start to bash up your cumin and black peppers. The cumin is going to add a bit of zing, and the black pepper is going to give pepperiness, obviously, but it also does add a bit of heat, which is why I have added a few more black peppercorns into this. I have magic going on down here. Okay, so as I always say, use all of your pestle and mortar. You're grinding your spices, you're not bashing them, you're grinding them. So let them grind down. Make sure you've broken down those black peppercorns. Lovely.
Cumin?
Coriander and black pepper. Not cumin. So that's what we're looking for. Can you see? Lovely. Now into that, because this is for the marinade, I'm going to put my garlic. I'm just going to roughly chop it, and I'm going to put it in here. There we go.
I think you might have accidentally said cumin.
Oh, did I say cumin? Sorry. I meant coriander. I always say cumin. Ignore me. That's helpful, isn't it? Coriander seeds, not cumin seeds. My apologies. Okay, so ginger and garlic is going in, and I'm also going to add just a little bit of salt. And we're going to bash this up together. Now you can bash. Obviously, if you've got ginger and garlic paste, then you don't need to do this bit, but I would highly urge you to always use fresh. The paste, I'm not that keen on the pastes and the pre-made stuff. It's just laziness. Does save time, I guess, but I do prefer to do it like this. Now you should start to get the aromatics and the lovely fresh smell from that ginger through. Now I bet there's a few of you, I know you Andrew Sherman, are going to be sat at home just like, yeah, I've done this bit, having a drink. But that's fine, it's all good, it's called preparation. There we go. So, I'm just going to make sure. Now, when you're making a marinade, it's all about getting lots of surface area into those ingredients, because we want lots of flavour penetrating into the meat. So I'm just going to show you the inside of my pestle and mortar. Nice and bashed up. There we go. So, pepper, we've got a little bit of salt in there, our ginger, our garlic, got a big bit there. That's going to go into my yogurt. Smells amazing. Love that. Right.
We've got Angil from Western Australia.
We've got who? Angil, sorry if we've said that wrong, from Western Australia. Hello, welcome. So lovely to have you join us. Now, what time is it? Is it 3 in the morning? I'm assuming it's sort of that time. Okay, so into here, I've just added some turmeric. Just going to give that a mix. Now, one of the other things that I say in the recipe is in your marinade, you want to put a teaspoon of gram flour. Now, for those of you who don't know what gram flour is chickpea flour. So it's roasted chickpeas that are then pounded to make a powder. And this powder or flour is what we use to make bhajis and all of that kind of thing. So pakore. And I'm just going to put a teaspoon of that into the marinade. Now, the reason that I'm doing that is that what it does is it stabilizes the yogurt. Now, because this is a marinade that is going to go into a hot pan, there's always a worry that you're going to split that yogurt because of the temperature that you're cooking at. But if you put a little bit of gram flour in there, it just stabilizes it and hope basically you won't have that issue with the yogurt splitting.
He said he's made his marinade last night. Is there a maximum time that you should marinade?
So is this, if you've put your chicken in the marinade, is that right? So that there's a bit of a thing that people think the longer you marinate, the better it is. Yeah, to a certain degree, but really you don't want to be marinating your meat for too long. The whole point of marinating your meat is so that you can allow flavours to penetrate into the meat. Depending on what your marinade is, this is quite a gentle marinade because it's just yogurt based, but if you've got acid in there, if you've got lemon juice, if you've got vinegar, if you've got things like that, you're actually breaking down the fibres of the meat. So if you marinate it for too long, that meat is going to lose its texture. So in terms of time, it really depends what your marinade is and how long you marinate it for. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so look at that. Beautiful, beautiful colour, lovely yellow, yum.
We've got Tasmin, who's new and she's just joined.
Hello, Tasmin from Tamsin. Hello, Tamsin from Paris. Welcome. Lovely to have you join us.
And someone asked, which part of India are you from?
I'm not from India. I'm Indian by family. So my parents were from the Punjab up in the north. I was born in the UK and have basically been brought up in the UK, but I grew up in a very Indian household, and this is the kind of food that we grew up eating. Okay, so all I've done is just put my marinade from here into there. I'm gonna get this spoon actually. Now, if you've seen me before, you know how I hate wasting stuff, so I'm just going to make sure I get every little bit of that marinade into my chicken. Actually, I should just do that, shouldn't I? Right. So, if you are cooking with me, I know a lot of you have already done the prep beforehand, but who else, if anybody's out there that is making the marinade with me, please let me know.
Can you use black chickpea flour?
I don't think I've ever seen black chickpea flour. I've seen obviously black chickpeas, but I don't know if I've seen the. If that's what you've got, absolutely. You could even use a little bit of corn flour. You can use rice flour. You could use just flour if you wanted to. So. Gala jana, yeah, which is, but I've not really used the flour from it before. Right, I just want to show you here. So look at that lovely, lovely, lovely colour. So all you're wanting to do is just give that a good old mix. Coat the meat, and that can just sit to one side while we get everything else ready.
Can you miss out yogurt if you don't have any, or should you make a curd with milk and add it like ethnic acid or vinegar?
So if you don't have yogurt, you can just do a dry marinade, but ideally, so what yogurt does when you're marinating is that it acts as a vehicle for you to be able to move those flavours into the meat. So the whole purpose of using yogurt is because it tenderizes and also helps that process. I don't think you're probably not going to get the same tenderization by using that kind of substitute, but sometimes if that's what you have, then, you know, if you're doing something quickly, absolutely, why not? Just give it a go and hope for the best. Wing it, as they say. Okay, so is everybody with me? If you're cooking, how are we doing? Is that looking good? It smells lovely, even though I do say so myself. So if you guys are cooking, please let me know where you are. Let me know how you're getting on and whether you are happy with your dish so far and it's looking like it should. Okay, so that's part one, the marinading bit. Does anybody have any questions before we move on? Actually, let me pop that there. Does anybody have any questions before we move on? Get them in now while I have a little drink. Okay, so the next bit is making the sauce, which is the korma sauce. So we've talked a little bit in the past about whenever you start a dish, you need to think about what you're hoping to end up with, and that will inform what you do throughout that process. So with a dish like this, where you want it to be light, it's essentially like a white sauce as opposed to a dark, deep, meaty sauce. So we want to make sure that we do everything in the right way. So we're going to mince onions, and you can do that either with a blender, or you can grate it, or whatever you want, because you want a nice smooth sauce. So if you were aiming for a dish with a nice chunky sauce, you'd cut your onions very, very differently. The other thing that we're going to do is just saute them very, very gently. We don't want colour in this dish because it's a light flavoured dish, light coloured dish even. So we don't want that deep, dark colour that we did when we cooked the boona, for example. So just think about what you're hoping for at the end of your cooking, and that should help you when you actually cook the dish.
Do you still put yogurt on kitchen paper to remove the liquid?
So that you can do that if you want to. So that's just a little hack. I do that mainly for things like tandoori chicken, where it's not going into a pan, it's not going to into a sauce as such. So you can do that if you want to, but there's not really any need to, because this is going to make a sauce and a gravy and so on. Okay, so into my pan, I'm going to start with some ghee. If you don't want, go on, I've got a question.
What should you use if you can't get saffron?
Just miss it out. Miss it out. Saffron is a very, very expensive spice, and that is really for a little bit of decadence at the end of this dish. For this dish, you can just miss it out. It's absolutely fine to do that. Okay, so I'm putting in some ghee. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because, again, this is quite a decadent dish. It's all about using some really nice ingredients, your best ingredients. You've got saffron in there, you've got that lovely creamy flavour. So that's why I'm using ghee, to add that lovely depth. And we're not going to cook our onions to get that depth from them, so we're going to do it in a slightly different way. Okay, so for the sauce, for those of you who are cooking, you can mince your onion. I'm going to do it in this very quick hand blender, just so that they are nice and small, because we want a fairly smooth sauce. But what I don't want to do is blitz this. So I'm just going to pop it into my very cool gadget that I love. And it just minces everything very, very quickly and easily.
Do you make your own?
You can absolutely make your own ghee. Ghee is really easy to make. All you're doing is clarifying butter. So you just get some butter and you heat it, and it separates into 3 layers. So you get all the milk proteins and salts and everything burn away at the bottom. Then you get your pure saturated fat, which is what ghee is, and then you get a layer of water which essentially evaporates, you just sort of pour that away, pour off the froth and so on, and you can use it.
Turmeric instead of saffron.
We've already got turmeric in here, so you don't need to do, which is why I said just miss out the saffron. If you haven't got saffron, just miss it out because we've already got the turmeric in here, so you don't need to worry too much. Okay, so my onion's there. I was just about to put it in, but before I do that, our first stage of spicing. So we're going to come back to our spices. For this dish, what I'm going to use is some nice sort of earthy, wholesome spices. We've got some cloves. We've got some cardamom, green cardamom. So I'm using 4 green cardamom. And we've got some cassia bark. I'm also going to, and this comes back to that point about wanting a little bit of a kick to this dish. It's not always the way that you do a korma, but I'm going to add some dried chilies as well. And you can add as many or as little as you like. Now, what will happen with the chilies as you're cooking them is they will break down slowly. So they won't be really hot as such. They will just very, very gently break down in the sauce. And the more you cook it, the more they will break down. So I'm probably going to use 3 in here. So those go in. We've talked a little bit about that process. So your first stage of spicing is usually always your whole spices. All I'm doing is just breaking open my cardamom. And the reason for that is this becomes your base flavour. This is the aromatics that are going into the oil. There we go. So cloves go in, cardamom goes in. Keep an eye on your temperature. You don't want it to be too hot because whenever you add your spices, they can burn, and if that happens, you need to start again. Cassia bark, that goes in. Now cassia bark is a lovely, lovely spice. Oh, I'm just going to show you. I'm going to take a little picture like I do, just so that I can post it afterwards and show you the yum. So cassia bark just adds a really lovely sweetness to your dish, but it also adds a real earthiness as well. So those go in. Those are my whole spices. Into that go my onions. Now remember that we don't want to colour these too much. We don't want the onions to go a dark brown or anything like that. We just want them to sweat away. It's already smelling really, really good. Now I do urge you, because whenever there are, I think a korma splits people very, very distinctly. There's a whole load of people who absolutely love a korma. They love it. They love it because it's their way of being able to have a curry without the fear of it being too hot. And there's those people who just can't stand it because they think that, I'm just going to rinse this out, who think that it's not really a curry. And I think we just think about things too much. If you like the taste of it, then eat it. It's that simple. Okay, so my onions have gone in and those are just going to sweat away. Now, coming back to that heat thing, I'm going to add a couple of chilies into mine because I want a bit of a kick to it. So I'm adding green chilies here, and these, I just swallowed a seed, these are going to add a bit of a kick. The red chilies will add a bit of warmth, but they're not going to be overly hot. They're also Kashmiri chilies and they're quite mild anyway, so I'm just chopping this chili up really nice and fine.
From Love, how should they share their videos and pictures with you? If you're taking pictures and taking videos as you're cooking, please do share them with me. So I've just had a question, how do you share them with me? The best way to do it is if you go to your app store, download my app. My app is just called Harry Ghotra, it's just my name.
You can download my app, and it's the easiest way to get in touch with me. So you can share your dishes that you've cooked there. There's a whole community of people who chat. And guys, I know that some of you are on the app already, so please do share your experiences with everybody and let them know. But it's a really lovely forum. And also you can just contact me directly through the app, and I will sort of respond and so on. But if you share your pictures on that app, then the whole community can see it. So please do share them on the app. Otherwise, through other social media channels that you might have, you can always tag me in. But please do tag me in so that I know that it's for me, and I can see what you've been up to. But yeah, the app is probably the easiest. Obviously Instagram and Facebook is other ways that you can share pictures with me. But it's really, if you do it through the app, it means that everybody who's part of it can see it as well, and it's quite a nice way of sharing what you've been cooking and creating.
What type of green chilies do you use?
So in terms of my green chilies, I use finger chilies. So these are my green chilies. They are long, thin chilies, and they're either called finger chilies, rocket chilies, also known as, well, they're similar to serrano chilies. These are my chilies of choice, and this is what you tend to use in Indian food. If you can't find them, I suppose the closest is probably going to be a Thai chili, but Thai chilies are hotter, so just be a little bit aware of that.
Do you add your garam masala now?
No, the garam masala is going to go in at the end. So all we're doing at the moment is just cooking down our onions, just so that they are nice and sauteed through. You've got rid of that raw onion flavour. And then into that, our marinated chicken is going to go in.
What type of chicken are you going to use, organic or countryside?
So I normally get my chicken from the butcher. I go for just sort of the farm assured stuff. I don't really have a preference in terms of organic, just so long as we know that the animal's been looked after and has adhered to all of the strict regulations that there are in this country. That's the main thing for me. I'm not an organic person. There are benefits, yes, I agree, but it's not always possible for everybody, so I tend to go for the farm assured stuff. Okay, my chili's going to go in now. Now be careful, when your chili goes in, it can catch your throat because it's dry, and as soon as that chili hits it, it can, so just be aware of that. If you don't want to use chili, absolutely fine. So if you want to keep it more on the mild side, then just don't add those chilies and bits and pieces that I've been talking about. If you, what I would urge you to do, even if you want it mild, is just put one dried chili in at the beginning and just let that simmer away rather than any more. People sort of see whole chilies and get quite scared of them, but it's more about the variety of chili. So these are Kashmiris, as I said, and they're really quite mild. And also into that, all of the other ingredients that are going to go in are sweet and they're mild. So you need to have a bit of a balance of flavour.
What cut of chicken?
Oh, my cut of chicken. So I'm using thigh meat. Thigh meat is my preferred cut when it comes to chicken. I say it's my preferred cut. Usually I would cook meat on the bone because it just is much more flavoursome. It's just a nice way of cooking it, I think, and you use the whole bird. With this, I'm using thigh meat off the bone just because I know that's how most people prefer it. So I'm using thigh meat. It's got a little bit more fat running through it. It's brown meat. It's much more flavoursome than breast. If you wanted to do this with breast, you absolutely can. Just be aware of your cooking times though, because breast meat can dry out very quickly. So you wouldn't need to cook it for as long as the thigh meat. Okay, so that's looking good. I'm just going to show you the inside of my pan. It's a little bit hot. So who loves a korma? Have we got a contingent of people out there who love a korma, or
some people like DC Morris has said it's their all-time favourite, and
That's-
even also since they tasted your one.
hello DC Morris. I didn't know you were, yeah, you said you were going to join, didn't you? Lovely to have you. I bet you've already eaten though, haven't you? You're an hour ahead. Lovely to hear that you are a korma fan. I do think it's a lovely dish, as I said. Okay, so my onions are, you can see that they're not coloured as such, but they are just starting to cook through. So now I will be adding my meat into that. So here we go. So let's pop this in. So the meat goes in, and we're just going to give that all a coat. Now, if you feel like you need to turn your temperature up, remember you've just put something cold in the pan, so you may need to just turn that temperature up a little bit. All we're doing is sealing that meat. Very, very quickly. Now is when you start to smell all of those lovely aromatics and the flavours coming through, and it should start to resemble what you would call a korma.
Answer this again. Someone, can you let chicken marinate overnight in the yogurt mixture? And then someone has asked what kind of pan are you using, non-stick?
Okay, so yes, you can marinate your chicken. For this dish, you can marinate your chicken overnight in the yogurt marinade, and then cook it the next day. That's absolutely brilliant, and it's a nice way of getting lots of flavour into your meat, and also it just saves a bit of time. So absolutely great thing to do, just marinate it overnight. So that's a good thing to do. In terms of my pan, what pan am I using? So when I cook dishes like this that are curry dishes, I tend to use cast iron pans. So this is an uncoated cast iron dish. There's not any enamel inside. It's just an uncoated cast iron dish. And the reason I like to use that is because it just adds a real earthiness to your dish. And it's just got a really lovely flavour, and it won't catch on the bottom. If you cook whatever you're cooking properly, it will not catch on the bottom. Okay.
DC Morris says korma was the first curry they did on the website, and then they bought the recipe book and they were off.
Oh, that's lovely, DC Morris. So it was the first dish that you did off the website. I'm so pleased to hear that. That's brilliant. Okay, so I've just put my lid on. I've just turned it down a little bit, and then I'm just going to let that simmer. And so as I was sort of turning that meat, I was just letting it, all of the different sides of that meat sear, so they get a little bit of heat. I'm just going to turn that down. Now what will happen is you'll start to get some of the juices and the flavour coming from the meat. We haven't added any liquid into that yet. We just want to get those juices and flavours coming through and let that start to cook. So that's going to take a couple of minutes. And then we are going to add into that, actually, let's just have a little tidy up. I'll just move all these bits away. So once that meat is caught a little bit, we are then going to add some other ingredients. Now, what I've got here is some coconut cream. It's just the thick part of coconut milk. So you can either buy coconut cream in tubs or cartons. If you can't find that, all you need to do is just get a tin of coconut milk, pop it in the fridge, and it will separate into the water and the cream, and you just siphon off that cream and just use that because that's got that lovely thickness to it. So we're going to use that. The other key flavouring of this dish is almonds. So I've got some almond powder in here, and all this is just roasted almonds that have been ground down. So that's some almonds. Now, obviously, if you have a nut allergy or you can't eat almonds, miss this ingredient out. You don't need to add it in at all. Hopefully you'll get that lovely thick flavour from the coconut cream you're using. The other ingredient that is really good to help thicken, as well as the ground flour that you've put in the marinade, because that will help thicken, is the white poppy seeds. So these are white poppy seeds, and they're used quite a lot in Indian cooking. So poppy seeds come in two variants. You have white poppy seeds or you have blue poppy seeds. And a lot of blue poppy seeds are used in Eastern European cooking, so breads and that kind of thing. But in Indian cooking, you tend to use white poppy seeds. And these are essentially used to thicken. They don't really have a flavour, but they do add a bit of a texture as well. So usually what you would do is grind up these poppy seeds, toast them, grind them up, and then add them into your dish. So those are the three bits that we're going to add in a minute once that chicken is starting to cook through. Whilst that's doing its thing, we're going to come back to it in a minute. I'm also going to start the second dish. Now, if you want to do this, like I said earlier, you can do it just with a potato. You can do it with beans. You can do it with, I'm doing it with runner beans. We call these phalian. So this is phalian di sabji. You can do it with, what else could you do it with? Carrots, peas, whatever you want to do. Really, really quick and easy side dish. And all I'm going to do, if I swap these over. So couscous, not really. I don't think there is really a substitute for couscous or poppy seeds. What you can do is just add a few extra, or another teaspoon of the almonds, which again will help to thicken and give that flavour. If you haven't got them, just miss them out, it's fine. Okay, so we're just going to start this second dish. So back to my mustard oil, which I'm sure is going to stir up some questions. So with veggie dishes like this, a good mustard oil is a really nice ingredient to use. This is an edible one. A lot of all mustard oil that you get in the UK, if you look at the label, says that it's unsuitable for. Oh, this one isn't edible. So this is what most of them say. It's for external use only. I'm just going to pour a little bit in here. I'm going to bring that up to temperature and let that cool down.
Can you use sesame seeds instead of poppy seeds?
Can you use sesame seeds rather than poppy seeds? I just wouldn't bother. I think it will change. Yeah, I think if you haven't got the, what are they called again? Sesame seeds. If you haven't got the poppy seeds, then don't worry about trying to find something to substitute them with. Okay, so just leave it out. Okay, so in here, this is the veggie side dish that I'm just going to do just as a very quick side dish. I've got mustard oil. Into the mustard oil, I am going to put a teaspoon of mustard seeds. And I'm going to put a teaspoon of cumin seeds. So mustard and cumin seeds together make a really, really lovely combination when you are cooking a veggie dish. So if you're doing this with a potato, what I would say is peel your potato and just dice it into sort of 2-3 centimetre cubes and just have that set on the side. Mustard and cumin seeds together make an amazing combination for veggie dishes. So just let them start to sizzle. As soon as you can smell it, which you can, you're ready to go in with your next ingredient. So I'm just going to put my beans in. Really quick to do. And if you've got potatoes, your potatoes go in now. Into that, I'm just going to add some turmeric. I'm going to add a little bit of chilli powder.
The white
I'm going to
poppy
put...
seeds have another name.
Do...
White poppy seeds have another name.
So white poppy seeds can also be called couscous, couscous or couscous. Not couscous, couscous. Okay. So my beans go in here. Now, if you were doing this with potatoes, you could put some garlic in there if you wanted to. You could put a little chopped up chilli in there. But this is all we're doing. Now, these are just going to cook away very, very gently. I'm going to put a little splash of water in. There we go. Can we see? Okay. So that is just going to cook away. I'm just going to let that simmer. I'm not going to put a lid on it just because it's a green veg. I don't want the green to disappear into a grey. So I'm just going to pop that to one side and let that cook away and come back to my chicken. So when you come back to your chicken, you will see that there's moisture that's come from that chicken. Just stir that in. See, this is not going to take much cooking. Lovely. It smells amazing now. You should really start to get the aromatics and the lovely, lovely... Oh, I'm just going to show you what mine looks like. Yep. Okay, so into here then, we're going to add those other ingredients. So I'm going to put in my coconut milk or cream. So the coconut goes in. And yeah, and keep those questions coming, guys. If you've got any other questions, or if I haven't answered any, sometimes I forget and I haven't answered them, then let me know. Yogurt's gone in. I'm also going to add almonds, so a teaspoon of almonds. You can, if you like the flavour of almonds, add a few more. And I'm also going to put in my teaspoon of poppy seeds. Now all of that is going to start to come together, so give that all a stir and we will let that simmer. Now this is not going to be that luminous yellow.
Could you cook this with chicken on the bone? And how do you stop the yogurt from splitting?
So for those of you who've just joined, so absolutely you can cook this with meat on the bone. There's no reason why you can't. It's delicious with meat on the bone. And one of the questions that's just come through is how do you stop the yogurt from splitting? So if you, so I sort of mentioned at the beginning.
Before you get into that, can you use hazelnuts?
You can use any kind of nut. So I mean the classic nut flavour for this is almonds, but if you can't eat almonds or you haven't got almonds, you could use ground walnuts, you could use cashews, you could use anything really, whatever you have. So it depends, you know, there's a lot of people who can't have nuts or can't have specific kinds of nuts. Just use whichever nut you are able to use.
And then if someone's using a coconut block, do they need to add any liquid?
So if you are using a coconut block, you do need to rehydrate that. So yeah, usually I think you grate it in there, and then you need to add hot water and hydrate it, and then add it in. And I mean, you can put it in and then put some water in. It's absolutely fine to do that, but it is a good idea to just add a little bit of water into that. What was the question? Oh, so splitting the yogurt. So as I mentioned at the beginning, when we were making the marinade for the chicken, that so how we marinated the chicken was coriander seeds, black pepper, turmeric, ginger, garlic, and yogurt. And then what you need to do is you add a teaspoon of gram flour, or you could add corn flour or something like that, just to stabilize that yogurt, because you're then adding that marinated chicken with the yogurt into a dish that's going to cook through. You can there can be a problem of that yogurt splitting. I would also say always use full fat yogurt. It's all very well trying to go healthy and not have a full fat yogurt. I would recommend that you go for full fat yogurt. It's worth it. Okay.
And then Gabriel said, might be a silly question, but it's smelling a lot like coconut. He says he followed the recipe, but it did feel like a lot of coconut milk, but is it normal if it's very pungent?
It depends, I suppose. So the question, hang on, I'm coming back. I'm just going to wash my rice, because if you're having dinner tonight with this, your chicken's almost going to be ready. I'm just going to take that out. So if you want to have some rice with it on the side, I would urge you to get your rice on now, or if you're eating it later, then you can do it later. But I'm just going to wash the rice so that it can go on. So the question is that it's smelling very, very coconutty. I would probably, it really depends on what coconut you've used. Maybe it's a particular brand that is quite pungent, maybe. Just to balance it, you might want to add a little bit more of your nut powder, whatever that might be. If you're using almonds, then just pop a few more almonds in there. Have you used cream, or did you just use, or was it coconut milk? So it's coconut milk, which actually should be a little milder than coconut cream. So let it cook. First and foremost, people always panic because they haven't actually let it do its thing, and they think, oh well, that doesn't taste right. But let it actually cook through, and those flavours will soften. When you first put anything into a pan, it is going to be pungent. It's like when you're cooking a masala, you put your chilli in, you taste your masala, you're like, oh my god, that's really hot. But then by the time you come to eat it, it's sort of dampened down and it's cooked through. So just let your dish cook first, and let's see what happens. Or did he say they cooked it yesterday? Is that what you're cooking now? Okay, let it just cook for the time being.
And someone says very watery.
It's very watery. So have you used coconut milk or coconut cream? Because I'll show you what mine looks like. And mine is fairly thick. So if it's very watery, can you add more almonds into yours? The almonds will thicken it. And if you are using, just wipe my hands. If you are using poppy seeds, you can add a few more poppy seeds. That will help to thicken as well.
They use the milk.
Okay, so milk can sometimes make things a little bit watery. So I would just add a little bit more, add another teaspoon of almonds, and add another teaspoon of your poppy seeds as well. But I'll show you what it looks like in my pan. Can you see? So it's not overly watery, but let it just simmer away. If you think it's too wet, let it just simmer away. So just coming back to my beans. This is one of my favourite veggie dishes. And it literally takes minutes to do. And into this you could put potatoes if you wanted to. I'm just going to let that cook a little bit longer just to soften them. But my curry is pretty much done. I'm just going to have a little taste because I just need to check the seasoning.
Someone's asked about cow or soy milk. But I think
I don't know what the question means.
I think they're probably thinking of missed the coconut thing.
Right, let's just have a little taste. So just check your seasoning. Oh, it's got a kick to it. I'm going to add a little bit more salt. I also want it to cook through for a bit longer. I can still bite down on some of the grainy bits from the marinade, so that still needs to cook down. until those have softened. So that's looking pretty good. Okay, did anyone cook any side veg or anything? One of the questions that came through last week was about putting down a plan of the next few weeks as to what we're going to cook on each of those sessions. So I am working on that, so I'll put that together and I'll have to share that with you somehow. I'm not sure how yet, but I'll put that together. It just means that you'll be able to plan a little bit better. And I think what I'll do for each dish, there'll be a main dish and a side dish, so that when you can either prep that beforehand or whatever. I'll just try and make it really easy, and it just means that you can have a really nice Friday dinner with your family after we've done this session. That's looking really good though, the colours are good. Okay, so whilst that's cooking, I'm just going to have a little wipe down. Any more questions? So personally, I think this is a really quick and easy dish to prep and get ready. And if you wanted to, like we said, you can prep some of the stuff the day before, but I think it's a really nice quick dish to do. And why would you go to a takeaway when you can do it yourself? It doesn't make any sense to do that anymore. So this is how you make it at home, fresh and delicious. You know exactly what's gone in there. I just think it's a...
Are the almond and poppy seeds already in?
Yeah, the almond and poppy seeds went in. So when your coconut goes in, your almonds goes in and your poppy seeds go in. So that is just left to thicken and cook through. But that is what we should be looking like. Okay, so whilst that's doing its last few bits, I'm just going to prep some coriander to go in. So I've got some lovely fresh coriander, which just finishes this dish off beautifully because it adds a little bit of zing. As always, if coriander is something that you don't like, then I always say just miss it out. It's not your thing. There are a lot of people who cannot stand it. That's fine. Just miss it out. I love it. I think it's really nice and tasty and fresh.
Someone said, would this be nice with a bit of honey?
You could put a little bit of honey in this if you wanted to. I mean, I'd put honey in my murg makhni, in my butter chicken. So you could put a little bit of honey in there if you wanted a little bit more sweetness. And there are quite a few people, when they have a korma, they want it to be sweet. So rather than adding sugar, yeah, a little touch of honey would work.
Someone said, are we going to add sugar?
I'm not adding sugar just because I don't want to. But if you prefer it sweeter, then by all means add a little bit of sugar or honey.
And then someone said, sorry, I was grinding. Has the garam masala gone in yet?
Garam masala has not gone in yet. Don't worry about that. We're just letting all of this come together. Can you give me a bit of feedback? If you are cooking, can you tell me what yours is like? I know that somebody said that theirs was quite watery. Has that thickened up yet? Give me some feedback. Let me know.
Could you make this with Greek yogurt?
Yeah, so I use Greek yogurt to make mine. So the marinade was made with Greek yogurt. That would be my yogurt of choice. Would be that lovely Greek yogurt, really nice and thick. Right, I'm just going to turn that down, let my rice cook, and I'm just going to check. So my beans are pretty much there. Yum! I'm just going to add a splash of water just to let them steam for a little bit longer, and then we are going to be ready to dish up. So any more feedback, guys? How are your plates? Sorry, how are your not plates? Your dishes looking? Are you happy with your korma? Is there anything that you need to do? I'm going to take a little photo just so that I can share it with you. There we go. Oh, I might do that. It's not working. It's too steamy. We are going to finish this dish with our coriander and some garam masala just to finish it all off. And then I will pop that into a plate just to show you. So any more questions? So the more this is cooking, the more those little bits of...
What brand of yogurt did you use? Because someone says they can't find proper Greek yogurt in the supermarket.
So I just used the... I think it was just the Sainsbury's own Greek yogurt. Nothing in particular. There's the, I can't remember what it's called. The really thick stuff. Oh, I can't remember the name of the brand, but that's a really good brand. Message me afterwards and I will let you know. So I'm just going to taste this again. But have a little taste of yours, and I want to get some feedback to see what you think, if there's any adjustments.
You added the saffron yet?
See, for me, and I put 2 chilies in there, it's nice and hot, but there is a sweetness already, and that's coming from the cassia bark, and it's coming from the almonds and the coconut. So for me, I wouldn't want to add any more sugar into that, because I just think it would take away from the taste. That's lovely. I just think the balance of flavours are just delicious. Okay.
So a couple of questions.
Couple of questions. So let me answer these while we're...
Have you added the saffron in yet?
No, my saffron is still here. I will add my saffron in a little while, but it's still there.
Someone said this is a bit colourless.
Colourless? What do you mean it's colourless? Is it not vibrant and yellow? If it's not vibrant and yellow, that will be a little bit more enhanced when we put our saffron in. But if you think you want a little bit more of a colour to it, you can just put a tiny little bit more turmeric in, and that will help, but not too much, because turmeric has an overriding bitterness. If you keep on adding turmeric, you will be able to taste it, and it's not very pleasant. But maybe you just haven't put enough in, so you can just add a little bit more, and it should be a nice, not a day glow orange, yellowy colour. It should be a vibrant yellow colour, but not a fake yellow colour. Does that make sense? So it's a very natural yellow colour, but it is yellow. It's quite a bright yellow. So it might be that you just need to add a little bit more turmeric. So just put a tiny little bit more in and see how you go. Any more questions? Okay, right. So mine is looking good. My beans are looking good as well. Oh, I'm loving these. So if you haven't ever done beans like this, I promise you, I don't know if you can see them, hang on, let me see if I can get them out. Look, I promise you they are amazing. They're so simple, but they're so delicious, and it just makes a really easy side dish to do. So we'll do that.
Someone said theirs is a bit grainy at the moment.
Yeah, so if it's a little bit grainy, it can be a little bit grainy. You just need to let it continue to cook down. I know what you mean.
Can you go through what's in your masala dabba?
Can I go? I get this every time I do a session. Everyone wants to know about my masala dabba. Okay, let's do that now then. Okay, can you see?
Yes. Yeah.
Can you see? So this stuff, the red stuff, is my Kashmiri chili powder. It's got a beautiful, vibrant red colour, and it's just lovely. This is methi, or Kasoori Methi. It's fenugreek. It's the herb of fenugreek. It's the leaves. Garam masala, the iconic spice blend of the north of India. Mustard seeds, which we've used today in the veggie dish. Cumin seeds, you probably can't see them in there. The yellow stuff is turmeric, and the other stuff is coriander seeds. So that's my masala dabba, that's my spice tin. These will be back in stock on the website next week. So we've got a whole new batch ready to go. So we will be putting that back up for sale, and they all come with the 7 key spices, a little spice guide to let you know how you use those spices. So yeah, check out the website for the new tins, which are going to be available very soon. Okay, so if yours is still a bit grainy, then let it continue to cook down. What I'm going to do is just show you how to finish it off. and just finish that dish so that you can do it once you're ready. Let's have a little drink. So into here, once you are happy and it's all cooked and it's delicious, your saffron, which should now be looking like that. So beautiful. Saffron is amazing. We're just going to pour that in just for a little bit of extra decadence, and that will add to the colour as well. Now I'm not going to lose any of my saffron, so I'm just going to, there we go, just pop that in there. Lovely.
Someone asked if they have white mustard seeds instead of black, should I put more than the recipe says?
So with Indian food, we tend to use black or brown mustard seeds. That's just the way that we do.
Like in general,
white mustard seeds I think, are much more pungent. So I would use slightly less of them, especially in a dish like this. Just be a little bit careful. They're yellow mustard seeds or white mustard seeds. Yellow mustard seeds have that nose tingling pungency, and a really good way to test it is if you just eat a few seeds, you'll see how quickly you get that pungency. When you do the same test with black mustard seeds, you get it much later. It comes right at the end of tasting those seeds. So I would use a little less rather than more. Okay, so my saffron has gone in. I'm going to finish this off. I'm going to turn that off first of all. I'm going to add some garam masala just to finalize that dish, just to bring it together. I'm only using half a teaspoon because I don't want to lose all the flavors and the sweetness, but I just want to add a little bit more warmth to it. So that's gone in, and then I'm going to start to dish this up. I'm just checking my plates. I'll put it in here.
How do you keep all the spices from smelling or tasting the same? Does each spice have an individual lid?
So, just had a quick question about the spice tin. So they don't have individual lids. What they have is an airtight over the top lid, and I've got some few little bits here, but they basically seal each of those tubs individually. So it's a...
Can you also show what's in your pan?
Yeah, I will show you what my pan looks like. I was going to just dish it all up to show you. I'll show you in the bowl so that it's easier. Or do you want to see? Here we go. Let me just show you the pan. Yep. Okay, so it's not really saucy and really wet, but it has got a sauce to it. But I'm just going to pop that into here just to show you. But that is essentially your korma. It smells really, really good. I hope you guys are enjoying the aromas and the smells at home as well. There we go. Now remember, you've got those lovely whole spices in there. If you don't want to serve those up, then you just need to take them out. I like to serve them in there. There we go.
Can you say where you can get the spice tin from?
So if you go to... I've had a question about the spice tin. If you go to my website is harrygotra.co.uk. We've also got a shop on the app as well. But if you go to the website, harrygotra.co.uk, there's a section within the website that says shop, and it's got all of the different bits and pieces. So from the tins the curry kits, and lots of other bits and pieces there, including the ebooks as well.
Would toasting the almonds and poppy seeds before grinding be a good idea or not?
You can, absolutely, you can toast them and grind them. So my almonds, I'd already toasted and ground them up, which is what you've got here. The poppy seeds you can toast and grind as well, absolutely, it does help.
Have you put the garam masala in?
So the garam masala went into the pan. I'm just going to finish with my coriander here on top. And also I've got a few little flakes of almond as well, which I'm just going to pop on top as well, just because it just adds a little bit of texture. So that is my korma. I'm just going to show you my beans. And my rice is cooking away. Oh, I love these beans, they're so good. So if I just move this forward. So here you have it. There is my amazing chicken korma. The other thing that I always like to do with my korma is right at the very end, just before you serve it, just give it a really lovely squeeze of lemon. It just lifts it and it just makes it that little bit more zingy. So a little bit of lemon juice on top. So there's my lovely chicken korma. It's delicious. It's lovely and pungent, and it's just got loads and loads of flavour. And it's got a bit of a kick to it as well, like I said. So I've added a few chilies in here. You can see the red chilies sitting on top. So that's my chicken korma. Oh. And that's my falyandi sabji, which is a red bean curry, a runner bean curry with cumin and mustard seeds. So there you have it. So those are the two dishes from today. I've also got some rice going on there, and then we're going to sit down and enjoy the rest of our Friday. Have we got any more questions before we sign off?
So Lois has said, oh, it looks amazing. Too bad it's almost 4:30 in the morning. Otherwise I'll be cooking it.
Oh, Lois, 4:30 in the morning. You need to get yourself to bed, love. And hopefully you can make it tomorrow. That would be great. And if you do, take some pictures. For everyone who's cooked, for everyone who's watched, thank you very much for joining me. It's been really, really lovely to cook with you, as always. I'm really enjoying these Friday night sessions, and I hope you are too. As I said earlier, if you've cooked, or if you are going to cook these dishes in the week, please do take photographs and share them with me on my app, share them with me on Instagram, share them with me on Facebook. I'm on all of the different social media sites, and I will always chat to you and talk to you if you just tag me in, because I'd just love to see what you come up with. And I hope you've enjoyed the session. I hope you feel like you've learned something. If you've got any more questions, please keep the questions coming in. This video will go live straight after the session, so if you've got any questions or anything you want to say, just put it at the bottom of the video, and I'll have a look at it and come back to you. Any more from you guys? They all seem to be in the corner.
Where did you get your pan from?
Where did I get my pan from? The black one, my black pan, it's just a Le Creuset. It's just a Le Creuset pan, nothing more than that, but I do love it. I have to say, I do love it. So that's the Friday Night Curry Club for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've had an absolute ball. I'm going to go and sit down and enjoy the rest of my dinner. I hope you've enjoyed it too. Thank you for joining me. And next week we will be cooking, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I will let you know by Wednesday. Thank you for taking the time out. I think we might do something like tandoori chicken and maybe some snack stuff. But I seem to say that every week and then change my mind. But we'll see what we're going to do. But I will let you know by Wednesday, and we'll post it up. And please do give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed watching, and do watch the other videos because there's loads of other information there. Take care. Have a great week. I hope everything goes okay for the next week, and I will see you next Friday. Thank you very much. Big love.